On my social media, I've got an old slide that I put back up there where it's a female lion watching all the wildebeest run by, for minutes and minutes and minutes. And then a male lion jumps over her and then jumps on one of the wildebeest and kills it. Most of you are that female wildebeest or female lion watching all the deals go by, waiting for the perfect deal. And there are no perfect deals. As long as debt service is covered, more than covered by free cash flow, you can do the deal. You can do the deal. And in America, they've got things like the SBA loans, etc. But that's not what this talks about. Remember, now, another thing that was brought up on the interview from the Times and the documentary is that the documentary guy mentioned, this is a long time ago, excuse me, why don't you have ads on your YouTube? Well, because we don't want to advertise on YouTube, and we don't make any money on YouTube like everybody else. Now, the Brian Rose, the Dan Locks, the Grant Cardones, the Wolf of Wall Street, amongst others, two of which those guys I trained, all have millions of followers, as indicated by their YouTube following. Not just YouTube following, but we'll use that as the benchmark. Well, they get paid on all those YouTubes. I don't know how much you get paid. We're up to almost 300,000 now on YouTube, which isn't a big deal, but it's part of their revenue generation model. I don't have a revenue generation model per se. I do have the Castle seminars, which are very finite in number that we can take. Roughly speaking, we take 200 a year in a regular year. Maybe 220. This will not be a regular year. But just as I don't sell the product on the website, I don't monetize the traffic. We also don't rent our lists. I had explained that to the LA Times guy. He didn't understand what that meant. Because I told him, I bet you the LA Times has got a list. I bet you they have a goddamn list. Whether they monetize it or not, I have no idea. So all those parts of monetization model or formula we don't use. Because we want you to get the full impact. But it doesn't seem to have gained much traction. I know one or two of the brightest marketing guys on the planet, when we decided to give everything away for free, told me that I was fucking brain dead. That syphilis had finally rotted my brain, and that it was the stupidest thing they ever heard of. I'm not sure if Sally didn't agree with them, but she's my wife. She didn't tell me so. But it's worked out. Now, the other side of it is, you will say, and I don't need the 5 or 25 grand a month or whatever it is. Although guys like Joe Rogan, who has, one of the most powerful monetization programs on the planet, he sells. When I was on his show, we got 60, 80, 90,000 that were watching the show while I was still on the show. But there are a lot of guys who do it, and God bless them. And by the way, the Grant Cardones, the Dan Locks, the Brian Rose, and the Wolf, all have good product. No one guy has the best product across the board. No one guy, okay? But each one of them, depending on what you want out of their product, has great product, terrific product. But there's no one guy that has it all, or one gal that has it all. I mentioned guys then. I'm sure there's some gals as well. I'm going to start my talks at universities up again, where I used to go to the universities. The last one I gave was University of Pennsylvania. I was blessed to be asked to speak there. It was a great experience. My kid brother got to come and listen to me. It's where Trump and Musk went to school, etc. So we're going to open it up again. And I would imagine that we're not going to be having crowds 400 to 500 to 600 anymore. If they do spacing, if spacing goes away, then we'll have a lot of people there. But I'm not going to do them virtually. I don't like the virtual presentations. Although a lot of people have been forced to do it. It's like I would never go to, my wife would stab me hearing me say this. I'm not going to go to any 3-star Michelin restaurant, pay 3-star prices to sit under a fucking heater in the parking lot. That fucking is not going to happen. I don't care if lockdown lasts till I'm 100 years old. That fucking dog doesn't hunt to me. Yet I know people that are doing it. I'd rather eat a TV dinner with fish sticks. But, a lot of the people are doing what they have to do to stay in business. Have to stay in business. So we'll see. I think the real test of how we've coped with Corona is a year from now. Because I said back in March of 2020, there's going to be 2-3 years. Of course, I underestimated how much money the government's going to put up. I also underestimated that financial institutions were going to be accepting Bitcoin as payment, etc. But again, getting back, Bitcoin has no backing, but neither does the US dollar. And I'm not trying to equate Bitcoin being the same as the US dollar, so don't write a bunch of shit about that. I'm just saying neither one has a backing, other than their following. And Bitcoin is, some of you that are listening, when you find a Bitcoin believer, he's like a zealot. He's like a born-again Christian. He's like, he's seen God. They're fucking psychos. Well, I have not seen the light, and we do not take Bitcoin to pay for the seminar. And although, in full disclosure, which I forgot to say, sometime last year, Sally bought a few shares for our grandkids. They're the Googles and that kind of stuff that you would normally see. She also had some Bitcoin so we could go to Warren Buffett's, annual meeting. So she does have some shares. Nothing, well, in terms of your net worth, maybe it would be a lot, but in terms of ours, it's not even a decimal point. But so she is a believer, and every once in a while, she'll hear something on the news. The other day, Bitcoin was down 12 or 15 grand, and a couple of her stocks, maybe it was Google or Apple, I forget which, were up. But they're de minimis amount of money for our overall portfolio, and I don't keep track of it. It's something that Sally does. The plan is, and Man Plans, God Laughs, is for me to do this twice a month. That's my plan. And so they will be intermittent. The plan is I'd like to have, after June and July, I'd like to have a few seminars before the year end. We do have a hardcore planned in December. It was supposed to be in June, but we have had no seminars to fill it, although it was about half full. It'll be interesting. And I'm not answering any questions on this format. And if you really are serious, it's still the time. It's still the time. This is a buyer's market. It's unbelievable. I'm blessed that I'm healthy enough to have seen it again. I'm positive I won't see it a third time. I'm positive I won't. I don't think I'm gonna. Since it's I've said this on YouTube. I was privileged to be part of the 80s where we ripped out the underbelly of the world. Okay, that's 35 years ago, 40 years ago. So another 40 years, I'll be about time to cash it in another 40 years. I'll be 115, although I plan on living to be 120. It's not likely that I'm going to see it again. We will probably keep this bar, pub format. I may be smoking a cigar and having a drink for the next one. It's ironic that with all the people that I've been partners with, the Vatican, the U.S. government, the Chinese government, the Kuwaiti government, the Icelandic government, amongst others, I've been privileged to work, as you've heard me, on the seminar stage with three of the largest sovereign funds, China, Norway, and Kuwait in my career. And you guys pick other people to advise you. And I don't have all the answers. I've got only one answer: how you create generational wealth. How somehow your research into their backgrounds is not as thorough as mine might be. I feel sorry for the Gates, and there's nothing to feel sorry for Melinda and Bill. I've never met either. They're both bright people. Is that all the shit that's going to be turned up over about them that doesn't need to be in the public domain? It's already started. I feel for them, having been under the knife like that before myself. But you have to hand it to Bill, creating that massive fortune, and then he and his lovely wife, Melinda Gates, creating that massive fund to help the underprivileged. It's quite remarkable what they've done. They're easily the preeminent people on the planet. In closing, kids, none of the stuff that you're used to responding to on social media like YouTube. We don't have comments, so you can't. I'm not interested. And the few comments that we see on Twitter and on LinkedIn, I don't comment on those either. But vis-a-vis this QLA Godfather series, after you see the first one, if there are some comments, don't correct me if I was wrong about Bitcoin. It was 40 million. I'm not. But if there's anything that's germane, that is even new, that hasn't been asked before, if you can write to the webmaster and comment, and I may be able to fill them in. This isn't a Q&A. I've got a deal and he won't sell me, and I'm not interested in that shit. I'm not. And just so you understand, for the people that are in the seminar, when they ask me, whatever the question is, what did your board say? And of course, they didn't ask the board because they don't want to look fucking stupid. That's what the board's there for. But if there's a topic that I may have overlooked, which isn't likely, but I may have overlooked it, comment to the webmaster, and if I think it's germane, I'll talk about it. I brought up the thing about Bitcoin and the Russians. Now, am I the only person on the planet that knows that the Russians have been the biggest producers of Bitcoin for almost since the beginning? Ergo, one would think, I'm not saying this is the answer, one would think, gee, I wonder why. What's worth polluting the fucking air? Now, if some people think Bitcoin was started to undermine the US dollar, let's just take that as a scenario. Let's just take that as maybe has a modicum of truth in it. Who would benefit the most from a weak dollar? I'm not talking about the guy that sells shit on Amazon, okay? Who would benefit? What world powers would benefit from a weakness of the United States dollar? Again, has no backing other than its following. I can name 3 or 4 countries. Even you may be able to name 3 or 4 countries. In closing, for those of you that follow the news, which you don't, and I do, the head of Saudi Arabia, the number 3 in line, but currently the head, the lawyer, is now squirreled up to the head of Iran. And they had a meeting 2-3 days ago. Kissy face. They hate each other. Why would those 2 countries all of a sudden become long-lost brothers? I can think of 10 scenarios, one of which is Biden is not perceived to be, I'm not saying he's not going to be a good president, by the way, and my prayers, every night my prayers start, President Biden and his family and all the men in harm's way. Second person on my list is former President Trump and his family and all the guys in harm's way, military guys. And then number 3, 4, and 5 are my grandchildren. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. But Biden is not perceived to be as strong, rightly or wrongly, as Trump. And so Saudi realizes that, again, this is all my conjecture. Saudi may think that, it's time to, expand their friendliness. Now, President Trump's son-in-law did a terrific job getting those three countries to agree with, I think it was Palestine, so they would have not sovereign rights, but they would be able to deal with them politically. So the world's changing. But getting back to Bitcoin, who would benefit from a weak dollar? There's an old saying, follow the money. And I wrote J.P. Morgan, Citibank, and one of the other great banks predicted Bitcoin could go to, if I remember correctly, $100,000, $300,000, and $400,000 a coin, or roughly something like that. If that's true, the first primary reason I didn't like Bitcoin, I still don't, is it didn't have a backing. Well, apparently they have their own backing, they have a following. But the second reason is it was too volatile. Okay, I paid for a Rolls Royce 750,000 pounds sterling for my birthday last year. I didn't pay for anything, Sally did. Let's say I gave him, let's just say Bitcoin was $75,000 a coin. It wasn't. I would have given him 10 coins, right? Meatheads. As they drive the car off the ramp of the truck that delivered it here, Bitcoin is now $65,000 a coin. What did I really pay for it? Well, I paid the $75,000 a coin. What did they really get for it? Unless they had an exchange for that coin where they could convert it into something else. It's got a lot of, as a store value, we'll see. Is it another gold? I don't know. But on that happy note, knowing that Sally has a little Bitcoin and has some stocks, I can't say anymore. I'd be disingenuous, like all the other bullshit artists that are doing this. Okay, take care, stay safe, don't get corona. I'm getting my third shot, I'm told, in a few weeks. And I'm looking forward to traveling again. And hopefully I'll be in the United States later on this year. And I will be talking at universities. So keep posted and come see me for free. Thank you. Bye-bye.